take life with a grain of salt and don't be so serious about your life. Have that drink, have that cigar, have some type of experience that you enjoy.
You are now tuning in to the Roughnecks Podcast with your host, Cole Nixon. Much love.
Oh man, that smells good.
Damn, that smells better than that stuff.
Yeah, this is what bourbon's supposed to smell like.
It doesn't burn as bad. Like, it's really smooth.
Yeah, that's pretty dangerous. Actually, that's a really good pick. So
what do they do? Like, did they just go pick one for you and bring it back?
So there's a lot of things that you can do with bourbon picks, and I've had the honor of doing a couple of them, which are really, really cool experiences if you're into all that. But if you go into two options, I'll start with that, is that you can have like different barrels, like where the distillery will take barrels and use thieves, where they thief out the whiskey and put it in little vials, and they'll send it to you in a box. Okay. And then you can say, well, I like A out of B, C, D, and E, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you pay for it, you know, and if you're in Ohio, there's a bunch of different rules and regulations when it comes to alcohol in the liquor stores, because the state liquor agency. So that has to go through the liquor store and everything. But you can do option 2, where I think is the best way, where they invite you down to whatever distillery it is. It could be Jack Daniel's, Jim Beam, Wild Turkey, and go into these beautiful old rick houses that have been standing for 50 years and smell all the wood and the oak and kind of engulf yourself into this different world, and then they have all these beautiful barrels like sitting in front of you. And I guess like for someone like me, I really enjoy the historical aspect of it. Yeah,
exactly.
So when a barrel is sitting in front of you and it's 10, 11, 12, 15 years old, I always go back and say, what was I doing 10 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how long that barrel's been sitting there, aging and becoming something, spectacular, to where we can actually enjoy it with friends and family and loved ones and stuff like that. So that's what I love, because you can try the whiskey right out of the barrel. There's nothing more raw about it. It's just all encompassing, and it just kind of grabs you, and you get to enjoy the whole thing. So, but so we're started.
Yeah, we are actually. I'm leaving that all in too.
That's cool, man. I like it.
I wanted, like, because how like Rogan starts out his episodes where it's just like they just start talking, and I'm like, that's kind of what I want to feed into instead of doing all this intro stuff, because then I got to think of it. So
I love it.
But hey, Jake, welcome to the Roughnecks Podcast, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. This is cool. I love the logos. I've been following along since you guys started, and I know Teddy's been involved.
Yep.
And we went to the same college, went to same high school, and
never actually there together.
Right, right, yeah.
Because you graduated when I was in 8th grade, so like when I was coming in, you were just leaving. So we never, and the same with college. We never actually got to like play together or be in school together. But it is funny how we went to the same high school, same college, but we're never actually together in either of them. Yeah,
yeah. And then we had like kind of like a mutual friend that was in between of us, and that was you had Cam Smith, and he went to Ohio Wesleyan too, so it was kind of very, very cool. I wish we all could have played together. Yeah. I always look back on that, and then you also have Reno. Yep. Too. So
who I was not in school with either, because you were actually more my brother. Because were you a freshman when my brother was a senior?
I believe so.
I thought you were actually closer to my brother than you were to me, but it's kind of weird because like you're directly like in the middle of me and my brother.
Yeah, so I wasn't really close with him
either. Yeah,
I knew him, and obviously, that senior class of Watkins, they had a rough year and stuff, but but I got to know them, because the freshman team always week 10
you got to
go up, and
dress
and then that was kind of my start because I got my big break that night against Hilliard Bradley.
Yep,
I actually played as a freshman.
Really? Which is not common. It wasn't like I knew it. It's not common for freshmen to play at Watkins.
It was not common at all.
My senior year, we had like 4 freshmen playing.
Right.
But we had a decent sized senior class, but we just didn't have a lot. But at Watkins, it wasn't common for freshmen to play at all.
No.
Especially in week 10.
Right, exactly. And it was, I looked up obviously to the seniors that year, even though they did have
a rough
year. But you're sitting next to Bryce Phillips as a running back, and even as goofy as he was amazing running back. Yeah. Jake Kincaid when he was with Watkins, who him and I together was just unstoppable. If he wouldn't have went to, not to knock him off, if he wouldn't have went to Pickerington, Jesus,
he may not have. Because did he end up going playing college ball or not?
He went to Kent.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he went to Kent.
He probably wouldn't have ended up. Well, he maybe would have ended up, but it would have been a lot tougher, I feel like. Yeah. And nothing against Watkins.
Yeah.
But, we don't produce D1 athletes.
No.
Or D1 football players, I'll say. We produce D1 athletes in other sports.
Well, and it's not practiced either.
No.
That was one thing about, and we can always get into, haves and have-nots and, who wanted to work and who didn't want to work back then. And it's crazy because, we haven't seen each other in forever, right? Or
last time I saw you was when I was in college. You were at Ohio Wesleyan, I think, for a game.
Right. And we've never we never played together. We never done any of that together. And it's crazy looking back on it because it just seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And all those feelings come back. Mm-hmm. And you can bitch and moan about whatever it is, but the truth is that Watkins just didn't use their platform to get the guys where they needed to go. No. It was very weird and I'm sure you had the same kind of instance. Was Severino still?
Sev was still it was, I think, my 1 or 2 years after I graduated when Sev stepped down.
Yeah. And God loves Sev and all those guys and Warrington and Hare. And I love them obviously, but, rest in peace, Coach Watkins. He passed away my senior year.
I played for him. He was my 7th grade basketball coach.
Yeah.
And then I think it was during high school when he ended up passing away.
He was my senior year.
Was it?
The spring of 2013.
So it would have been my 8th grade year, yeah.
Yep. But, it was very weird, and I'm sure you guys had the same the same experience. But, me telling Sev that I want to go play college football it was like deer in the headlights. And it's why? Because I'm not 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
You have 120 tackles on a high school football team and college. You played Joe Burrow your senior year.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's I've been playing since I was 5 years old. Why wouldn't I try to play somewhere, even if it is the Division III level? I still want to play. I still want to go to school, get my degree, and but it was it's met with surprise rather than, oh well, let's help you, let's try to get you where you need to be.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't feel like I had much help. Same thing. I love Sev, I love Warrington, I love all those guys, but I didn't feel like I had much help in that aspect of what to do. Essentially, you had coaches coming in and you go sit and they talk and whatever, but it was all right, what do I do now?
Right.
Now what do I do? How do I know which one's the right fit for me? Which that's not all their responsibility. Sometimes you need to have that you're internal with yourself, and then you also need to have that conversation with your parents and that kind of thing. Yep. But it was weird because I didn't know what to do, and D3 was my only option because I didn't play half the senior year too, right. And which it was one of those too, and I don't know if it was the same for you. I feel like we always think oh, I can go play D1 or I can go play D2. And then that first day of camp, D3, right. I was I wasn't even prepared for this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's nothing like crazy, but it's just a whole different level.
It's a different level, and it's a different speed.
Yeah.
And when you feel that speed for the first time, it just feels like a whirlwind. Like, especially like, I look back at like DBs and stuff like that, and they get to see everything.
Oh, it was great.
You know, and it's like, even as a linebacker, you know, you get to see most of it. But then going from, you know, I was a nose tackle and center and stuff and a lineman in elementary school.
Yeah.
But I hadn't been on the line for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and then you play college football, and then you stick your hand down in the dirt again. And it's a different ball game.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's things moving that you don't know that they're moving.
Yeah.
You know?
People are like, how do the linemen not see that? That you can't see.
You can't see anything.
You just get up and you're trying to see as much as you can. That's
it.
Like
you're separating from people. You're trying to move. I mean, and that was my big thing, was that the only reason, like, my claim to fame was being strong, quick, and fast.
Yeah.
On the line, but I was the smallest D lineman in our conference, and that's saying something considering it's a division
D3, and you didn't. I mean, some of the teams even like, what's the school? Blue.
Hiram.
Yeah. Like but they had some big dudes. They just weren't always fundamentally.
They'd beat you if you weren't careful.
Oh yeah, they're very electric, but I mean, there was sometimes a lot of them with Hiram. It was like close at first, and then like towards the end of the second quarter, third quarter, it was like, all right, now we take over.
Yep.
But we always had trick plays thrown in there. I never got to throw the fake punt pass. I was disappointed in that one. They never called it. They were like, we're up 40, and I'm like, I don't care. Just can we get a first down?
Yeah. Tell Ward to do something.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was different as a DB, especially like, because even in camp, that's kind of what helped me propel myself at Ohio Wesleyan. During camp, I had like 3 interceptions in 3 days.
Yeah.
But you're going against the freshman offense. Like they're learning the plays. Half of them don't even know their routes yet. The quarterbacks are still trying to figure it out. So like, I'm just able to sit back and be like, I know who I have. And then like, once he comes at me, I'm like, all right, he's mine. And then it's like, all right, just wait for the bad throw.
Yeah.
So that's what helped me, but it is completely different. And I don't know which ones. I always say DB's harder mentally, not physically. Physically, because you're getting hit every play. Sometimes DBs don't go.
But you got to figure out like where you're going.
Yeah.
You know, you can see like 3 different routes.
Oh yeah.
And you got to pick what you got to read which
or
one
when
is going to be.
Out and like how many checks did we have? So like
even
on the D line, like
yeah.
we're checking out of a blitz, we're checking out of whatever when they come out in a specific formation, and like we're supposed to just remember all that.
Yeah.
And it was tough. And my junior year when they moved me to corner, that was even tougher.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I've never played corner.
And you're out there on an island.
Oh yeah.
It's just you.
And then we had a freshman who ended up going all conference, and I'm like, why didn't we have anybody else?
Right.
But I was grateful because we had Mario DeJoy. We had Nick Heidel. We had Ryan Rubel. So like we had a ton of safeties that were freaking good. That I would have been battling so much for playing time. Instead, I got to start all 10 games and play all 10 games. So it's like one of those that it's like, it sucked, but I got to play all 10 games.
No, it's awesome. I mean, it's a lot. It's not like my freshman year where we walked in with 21 linebackers.
Yeah.
And
we had the largest recruiting class, I think, that Watts has ever seen.
Probably since us.
Yeah.
Because we had 75 kids.
Yeah.
In our freshman class.
I think we were just over 80. I could be wrong about that, but I know we were.
Damn.
But like
that's
half
too many.
of them.
That's too many.
The next year it was like half.
Yeah, I mean, what was the senior class?
My senior class?
20?
Probably.
Yeah.
If that.
That was about the same as us. Yeah. And we had transfers in.
Some of them weren't there from day one.
Yeah, we had 24 guys.
Yeah.
And 4 of them were transfers.
Yeah.
That had stayed.
Yeah, it's
And that just goes to show you that it doesn't matter at what level.
Mm-hmm.
Roughnecks, you guys got Reno, like he played at Kent State, D1 athlete, 5th year, right, too?
I think he was redshirted.
Due to his okay.
But I don't know.
Due to his injury, or
I know he had an injury, and I knew he was thinking and he was wanting to go NFL.
Yeah.
But the injury cut his NFL career, or his career just was done after that.
That sucks.
It does.
But I know he's happy doing what he's doing. I haven't talked to Reno in probably 10 years.
Reno's doing very well for himself. I can tell you that.
That's good.
So
that's good.
I get to we play volleyball on Sundays at a place. Me and Evan Den's girlfriend plays with us, and Evan did play till he tore his Achilles.
Oh, jeez. That's a bad injury.
Playing at Watkins, too.
That's a bad
Playing football.
Well, yeah, I remember that.
But, so that so I get to see Reno and with the podcast, I see him all the time. But it's funny, too, like how past, because like we talked about, like Reno he was your class, wasn't he?
He was a grade above me.
Oh, okay. So Reno, he was even older. I never really had experience.
So he's
with
6
him.
years above you.
Yeah, I never had experience with him, and then I just randomly asked him if he wanted to be a part of it after I'd had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then now we talk all the time, and I never would have thought, like, if you'd asked me, it's kind of talking like the whiskey thing. What was I doing 10 years ago? I wouldn't have been thinking, one, I'm doing this. Two, I wouldn't have thought Reno would be a part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a very humbling experience at the same time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think about. I mean, it's one of those. The older that I'm getting. I mean, I'm 28 now, and I'm getting. Once you get like closer to 30, like you start like looking back on a lot of things, and especially like the years from like 20 to 26.
Yeah.
Like our like big like transitioning years. At least for me, they were.
Well, that's where I'm at right now. Is 26, and my life 6 years ago was completely different.
And there's I feel like there's a lot of hardships in those years, because especially if you're a student athlete, you go from doing all these things and working so hard to play a sport that you love, and then it basically becomes a job and you work hard at it, but it's, at least for me, like you kind of lose a little bit of passion for it, even though you've been playing it for 16 years and it's like coming to an end because you face the facts.
It's like sad, but at the same time, you're kind of like,
it's time.
Yeah, it is time to hang it up.
But then you get out, and then you're like, well, now what?
Oh,
you know? And it's like you're ready to get out and everything, and then you say to yourself, now what? And some people go one way, and some people go another way.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful, like which way you navigate yourself, because you can go down a road where you fall down this dark hole, and your mental capacity is all messed up. At least like mine was, like for my instance. And
I was the same exact way. Where
and then you just fall into a dark hole, and you may not get out of it.
A lot of people don't. I mean, honestly, or it takes a lot longer for other people to get out of that hole.
Yeah.
And because it is weird, because you go from high school to like being told what to do, you have to be here at this time. College similar.
Yeah.
You have a little more freedom with it, but you're still, hey, you have meetings at this time. You didn't want to be late. You weren't running the Bishop Mile.
No.
You had all this stuff that was like scheduled for you essentially.
Yep.
Then you get out, and it's like you're in control of your schedule completely. Even if you have a 9-to-5 or whatever type of job, like, yes, you have that scheduled, but then it's like managing your time after that.
Yeah.
And it was like getting out of that funk of figuring life out essentially after college is a very difficult thing, because
it is.
You're also looking at everyone else, I think, a lot as well. What I did personally is like, I'm looking at everybody else like, well, I'm not here. Like, they're only a year above me. How do they have this truck already? How do they have this house already? And I'm still living with mom and dad driving a beater. Like,
exactly.
But then once you start to get over those humps, you're like, it doesn't matter what age necessarily this happens at. It's just like figuring it out and at the best time for you.
Yeah. Each one of us kind of has our own journey, and like you can be at 26 and beating me at 28.
Yeah.
But I can be at 40 and killing it, and then you can fall back down again. It's just like we have to understand and be humble about the fact, have more humility about the fact of what life has to bring for ourselves, and kind of embrace this process of, maybe I should do this thing, maybe I shouldn't, maybe, and work through life that way. So, for instance, for me, I go from college to, I got involved with Corey Gregory and Max Effort Muscle at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody knew that, but I get involved with that. Corey was a huge mentor, old school gem. That was a massive thing in my life. And I wanted to stay involved with that. Found like a hidden passion with like videography and photography, and I mean, who the hell thought that I'd be doing that? It's, I'm like this like guy that's played football for 16 years and lifted, and then I all of a sudden really enjoy video editing.
Yeah. It is weird how it just happens.
Yeah. And so I start doing that, and Corey offers me like this, not really an internship, but kind of like a startup program with Max Effort Muscle, and I do the whole thing and travel with them. And I was with them from out of school, spring of 2017 to about fall of 18. And that may not seem like a long time, but a lot can happen in a year and a half. And so it felt like between 22 and about 24 was just a whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
And then also adding in the fact that, I was working part-time at Tinderbox Easton, which is a cigar shop. And that kind of got me into the whole cigar thing. Started smoking cigars at Woodlands. That's in Delaware. And I don't know why. I mean, honestly, I got into bourbon like really young too. So I went down there on my 21st birthday with my dad. And like I said, the historical aspect of it kind of grabbed me. But it was just like a hobby. It's not like sitting there at 21, like drinking $100 bottle. You can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's more, grabbing a, maybe a pint of Maker's Mark and finishing that on a Friday night after or Saturday night after a football game.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge partier at Ohio Wesleyan, but
you mean you weren't a big Clancy's goer?
No. I'd go down with everybody. But I would sit there and I'd smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
And I'd just stand outside and just people watch.
That was always comical.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the townies.
Yeah, between the townies and the actual students.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. And
Clancy shut down my junior year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't going to miss it. I didn't give a shit about that place. But, I mean, the way that I looked at it is like I'm like paying money to when I was under 21, it was like I'm paying money to go try to hook up with my own girlfriend. That's the way I looked at it. It's like, can we go to like that at that time Phi Psi was still like open, but it was like, can we go to the football frat and then like hang out for like a little bit and then go back to the dorm, just like hang out. But you go through that, and I got into cigars just because of bourbon, because like, if you look at the Pappy bottle, if you really getting into bourbon, then you learn about Pappy, right? Like Pappy's this like forbidden fruit, this like Fugazi unicorn bottle that nobody can get unless you have buku money. And, old Julian Van Winkle on the front of it smoking a cigar, so then I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, what's cigars about? And so I go to the UDF station on York Road.
Okay.
By the barn. And it was like the summer between my junior and senior year of college. And they had these 5-packs of Swisher Sweets, but they weren't Swishers. They were actually like rolled, whether they were machine rolled or hand rolled, whatever, cigars. And you get 5 of them for $3. And I went over to Taylor Evener's Halloween party on Blacks Road, and I just really enjoyed smoking a cigar with like a little cup of bourbon.
Yeah.
And I was kind of off to the races. And so I would go from, I'd smoke a cigar if we won a game. When I would go back to school after summer break, I would smoke a cigar after, a game or whatever. And then it became every weekend day. And then by my senior year, obviously, like, you don't give a shit. So like
hell no.
you get to April of your spring or your
done.
Your last semester. And I'm like, well, I think I'm going to go study at the cigar shop and smoke a cigar and like read my textbook. And that's what I did. So like I built like a great relationship with the people at Woodlands in Delaware, Ohio. And then I went to Tinderbox at Easton, met a guy named Steve Crane, which is now one of my best friends. And then they offered me a job out of college, just as like a part-time thing, because they knew that I was doing stuff with Corey and Max Effort Muscle, but I'd go in there and have a cigar after work, because we lived off of Hamilton Road up there in New Albany. That's where Alicia and I moved to after school. So I started working there like part-time, which that made for a long day too. It felt like college, like football back, we'd
get done with classes all day and then you got to go to freaking practice.
Oh yeah. Well, we'd, you're working out at like 4 a.m. with the 4 a.m. crew at Old School. And you're doing that, and then you're done at 6, go back, edit everything for Corey, shower, drive down to Newark, do everything during the day, drive back to New Albany, and then smoke cigars the rest of the night. And then you leave at 9 or 10 o'clock. And there's something that's one thing that like I've had to be careful about, like with my life, in the last, like since I've gotten into the bourbon and the cigar thing and made a career out of it, was that, there's a thing where like when the day ends, most people go home and then they have a drink or something like that. Well, cigar shops, you do that there.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you close the store and then you may sit there. And much like what can happen in a bar, it's never just one drink.
Yep.
So, by the time you know it, it's 1 a.m. and you got to be at the gym at 4.
Yeah.
So, back to, my original story when I was talking about, that 1 year seemed like a very long time between 17 and the fall of 2018. That's why, because that year, took probably about, it took a few years off my life, but it was all good. I wouldn't change anything.
Well, everything's a learning experience. You learn.
Well, yeah. I was rocking.
Yeah. It was one of those that like, it's like college. I look back at college for me and I had a blast. I wish I'd have took things more seriously and maybe set myself up a little better for my future. Yeah. And then same post-college, even like certain things that I did or paths that I went down where it almost felt like for me post-college, I was still in college.
Right.
Like with the drinking and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like you kind of take a step back and you look at yourself and you're like, well, it's not like I'm the worst person out here, but it's like I'm heading down this path that can end up being really bad.
Well, I think there's such a stigmatism when it comes to alcohol, right? Oh, yeah. And for good reason. Don't I'm not trying to make it seem like it shouldn't be. But I think people demonize it a lot more than what it should be. I think it should just be more of a be careful thing rather than a don't.
Yeah.
The reason being for me was that I noticed that when you can control, especially when you're drinking something, a 60 or 70, something that's special.
Yeah.
With friends and family, it's not like chugging 30 beers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
And it's not the same sitting down and smoking a cigar for an hour either.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gravitated me towards the whole industry, was the fact that it slows down time. We live in a world where everything's go, 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 go. And we'd never give ourselves this moment of time to reflect.
Exactly.
And people can say they do, and whether they do or not is to them. But I think for the majority of us, they don't. We don't. And this allows us to. I think cigars are a very special thing. I think premium bourbons are a special thing. I think, premium, like beers and craft beers and stuff, any type of adult hobby, I think is really, really good for people. But there's that stigmatism when it comes to alcohol. And it's normally by, some Karen that drinks a bottle of wine a night anyways, right? Exactly. She's a fucking wino.
Yeah.
But she's yelling for a man for drinking 2 fingers of bourbon.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
And I think that it has given me a different perspective, and it allows you to be, there is kind of a sophisticated little thing about it, which is, a romantic kind of thing that allows you to, boost your, endorphins a little bit and get you feeling good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, I've really gravitated towards in my years. I've been in the cigar industry now for about 6-7 years, and a lot has changed in that time, going from retail to now wholesale, which I'm selling to retail stores now. So I'm if I know we haven't said it, but my official title I'm a Northeast regional sales manager for Crowned Heads Cigars.
Yeah.
And for layman's terms, I'm a cigar rep.
Yeah.
That's what I am. But it's cool.
How exactly did that position come about? Like, obviously, like you mentioned how it all started, but like, how did you end up at Crowned Heads, and like, did you have to work your way up, or was that just kind of the position that you started with and now you're working your way up, or how did that all work?
Yeah. For me, I started at the retail level, and then I think, in my opinion, I had to work my way up.
Okay.
In 2019, I realized I really wanted, I couldn't hold down a job. I didn't want to work in an office. I didn't have any trade experience. I didn't really have any experience in anything else. My degree was in health and human kinetics.
Okay.
Wanted to be a strength coach, but I didn't want to be a weight bitch for, 5 years.
Yeah.
Even though I have really good friends that are, doing great right now. Dylan Leffingwell. Was a great friend of mine. He's at Granville right now, head of their...
I think that's what Teddy's actually doing now.
Yeah.
He's at Ohio Wesleyan. I don't know if he is officially like the strength coach, but he was working side by side with the strength coach my senior year.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I just, I don't know. I've been dating Alicia since I was 18.
Yeah.
So we've been together for 10 years.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to start our lives, and I just knew that I couldn't, if we wouldn't be able to if I didn't move away from kind of my dream of being a strength coach. Hindsight being 2020, that wasn't my dream. That wasn't where I was meant to be. And that's what I find so cool, is that, God always has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And you may think that you do something wrong and you go a different path, and then you get to that thing and you realize that this is where I'm supposed to be. And so getting back to it, moving up, I went from Tenderbox at Easton 2019, couldn't hold down a job, realized that, and started. Basically, the cigar industry is a very tight-knit community. If you want to become a rep, most of these don't even make it on LinkedIn or anything like that. A lot of them are word of mouth, and it's who you know and stuff like that. So I had a lot of friends, a lot of rep friends with different companies and stuff like that. So I decided to reach out to them and kind of put a bug in their ear. My friend Rob Wilson lives in Cleveland. He works for Rocky Patel Cigars, which is a large brand. And Rocky, who's a real man, his name's Rakesh Patel. And he has these burn lounges, which are cigar lounges across America. There's about 5 of them. And he was building one in Indianapolis, and Rob came up to me and said, he calls me. And I was working at Amazon at the time in Aetna, just to kind of make ends meet and everything. And he says, how's things going? I said, I'm good. And I'm just, money's kind of tight and wish I was, doing cigars instead. He said, well, I may be able to help you. And they needed a humidor manager. Which, if you don't know what a humidor is, basically just a thing to hold cigars. Yeah. It keeps the cigars kind of moisturized and everything, and humidity, everything. So we talk about it a little more and end up going through this process and everything. And this is being built in Indianapolis, so I know that if I get this job, we're going to have to move. And Alicia's fine with that, so she's amazing for that. Wouldn't be here without her, obviously. And so I get the job. We move out to Indianapolis, become a humidor manager. I had no idea what the hell I was getting myself into. I'm a young cigar guy, and I'm trying to make something of myself, and I didn't realize the scale of what this opportunity was going to be. And you walk in, and it's a 6,000 square foot building, and it's gorgeous. It's 2 decks, 2 bars, seats 300 people, and is 6,000 square feet. I mean, it's just crazy. And you can smoke cigars in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just massive. It's something that you just don't see a lot in today's kind of climate anymore. And so, fast forward, we go through COVID, and we're all still there. Rocky was very nice and kept all of us on. Nothing money-wise was affected for us as managers. And then we get to after COVID, and then we go through a GM, we go through another GM, and finally, by this time, I know everything about the place. And this place, about the beginning of 2022, I mean, we get past New Year's, and we're reservation only at this point on Fridays and Saturdays. You have a Rolls Royce, an Audi R8, a $250,000 Ford custom truck outside, and we're rocking. We have 5 security staff, 5 bartenders on that night, 3 bussers, 3 humidor guys, and 3 managers. We're rocking with 350 people in the building, and everybody's having fun, And so I become the GM, but I guess long story short, I know that was long-winded, so sorry for the
it makes
the
my
listeners.
job easy. I love it.
But long story long, I decide that even though I love bourbon and I love cigars and I loved the atmosphere and, selfishly, I loved the power over the building. You walk in and you're dressed triple black suit, you got a black fedora on, you have every steakhouse GM's number on your phone, and you can do anything.
Yeah.
It's basically a nightclub. You're a GM of a nightclub, and you can do anything. But I realized that if Alicia and I wanted to be together still, I can't stay out till 5 o'clock in the morning every night. Mm-hmm. So, to be honest, I was always looking to be a cigar rep. I was looking to be a cigar rep before I took this job took the job at Rocky. I wanted to be a cigar rep, a half a year into working in retail at Tinderbox. It's just it always sounded like a great job to me, when I first heard it. So again, like I said, I'm talking through my rep friends again and learning about, what's open, what's not open. Come to find out, I knew Crowned Head's national sales manager. His name's Miguel. Miguel is an amazing man. Was born in Cincinnati. Great guy. He's been in the business for 20 years. He knows what he's doing. He knows tobacco. He knows cigars, and he knows people. Just a great person. He's not power hungry. He's a good leader. He does his thing. So, I did take a pay cut, but it was for the longevity of my relationship with my fiance. It's for the longevity of my life. I'm not staying out till 5 o'clock in the morning drinking with rich people. And that may sound cool to everybody, but
I feel like it's one of those things that's cool in the moment or at the time, but then there does come a point where you're like, this isn't really cool anymore. Like, it becomes almost normal, but not even like fun.
Well, it's scary when it becomes normal.
Yes.
It's really scary when it becomes normal, and then you total your car, and then it becomes very real.
Yeah.
And so, and then you realize, what are you doing? And so, there's a lot of things that have brought me to this, and God and my loved ones that are, my guardian angels now that have been looking out for me. I know that there's no You know, pardon my French, but there's no fucking way that there's nobody looking out for me because I'd be dead.
Yeah.
But it's a great life, and it's been a great experience through all of it. So I've met a lot of great people. But so I work through all my cigar reps. I talk with Miguel. They need a guy for Ohio. Miguel's needed a guy for Ohio for like 5 years. So go through the whole thing, and he finally, you know, kind of grants me with it in July of 2022. And so for those that don't know, cigar reps and regional reps, basically I have a very large territory. I go all the way to Maine.
Oh, wow.
So, but
how far of a drive is it? Like,
well, I fly.
Okay, that
so
makes more
it's not.
sense.
Yeah, it's a business. It's not like.
Yeah, that's true. But like, but are you flying with cigars then?
Yeah.
How does that work? Like, when you're going through and everything, getting ready to get on the flight, when they check your bags and stuff.
You can fly. You can fly with cigars.
I know. Like, is it ever like? Do they have to like search through all of it, or is they
no,
just kinda...
No, they don't. I mean, they know what it is.
Okay.
The funny part is I have like a custom made hat, like a fedora,
Yeah.
and it has a cigar holder
Yeah.
on it, and I thought that was going to be a big issue because like having a cigar on me in a plane,
Yeah.
you know, and there's matches in the hat like as a little accessory,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because I never get stopped for it.
Really?
Yeah, in TSA, and it's a book of matches. I mean, they're real matches. Huh. So, but it's I mean, I wouldn't take them out and like show them to them.
Yeah, exactly.
I keep
like,
it.
Hey,
in
look what I got.
I keep it in my hat, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been crazy. But it's so I go to Maine, but my main states, like I say my main states, but Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Western PA, and I go into upstate New York as well.
Okay.
But once a year, I'll fly out to like kind of New England. So you know, for us, it's kind of behooves us to have a rep that at least goes out there. Mm-hmm. We can't really. I'll just be honest. We can't really afford to have a rep, you know, just for that area out there. So.
How often are you traveling? Is it like what is your travel essentially like? Are you mostly in Ohio, or are you kind of all over the place all the time?
I'm kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Especially this last 6 months, okay. I've been kind of all over the place. There was one weekend in November that Thursday night I was in Southern Michigan. And then Friday night, Thursday night I had an event in Southern Michigan called in Adrian, Michigan, if anybody knows where that is. Mm-hmm. And then I had an event Friday night in Willoughby, Ohio, which is east of Cleveland. And then drove home that night, so 2 hours to Zanesville. And then I drove the next morning, got up, and drove to Louisville and had an event on Saturday. And then drove back that night. And then Monday I drove to Pittsburgh and back. And then Thursday I had an event out at Buckeye Lake.
So when you say these events, are these like conventions where you're like essentially like with a booth, like sitting there with, or is it all kinds of different things?
For us, it's like a spotlight, if you will. So it's just me with our product. We're running deals on sales and stuff like that, and box sales, and I'm just kind of pushing the product, kind of like what you would see like as a liquor rep, like being at a liquor store or something. So something like that.
What would you say?
I'm sorry.
Like if you had to pick one of like how can you tell something like a beginner cigar versus like a more somebody that has experience like should smoke this cigar? Is there something to look for, or just like how can you tell?
Yeah. I will say, like for your listeners, don't be afraid to go into a cigar shop. Mm-hmm. I know that cigar shops, to me, I know this because I walk into a lot of them, right? So I know that they can be intimidating because they're a lot like gyms. You know, they're a lot like hardcore gyms. You may be intimidated by like when you first walk in because you don't know anybody, right? So, but sorry.
It's all good.
Damn. We're back. So don't be afraid when you go into a cigar shop because, you know, you may have a lot of old men and, you know, they may look at you wrong and stuff like that, but they're good-hearted. A lot of people, you know, they know you're there to buy something, right? So Because nobody just walks into a cigar shop to walk into a cigar shop.
That's not, yeah, it's not like you're walking into Target. Like,
yeah, and that's the one thing I love about it too, because it's you can't miss it. You can't mix it up. So like the reason why you're walking into a cigar shop is because you need something. It just depends on, for me as a salesman, it just depends on how much you walk out with.
Yeah.
So when you walk in, I think, you're going to mostly get asked a few different questions. When I was in retail and still, I ask a lot of people, a lot of new beginners or anybody that I meet for the first time, what do you normally like to smoke? Are you new? Or are you, and that's, if you are, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But do you like, mild, medium, full, which is the strengths of the tobacco? And, we can go into the different primings of a tobacco plant too, because that's kind of cool too. But normally that's the nicotine strength of the tobacco. And then within that, you have the smoke production of that. So that can, body and strength are different too. So I may go back because I think I contradicted myself there a little bit. But you can have something that is medium body but full strength, if that makes sense. And you can have something that's full body and medium strength. Yeah. And the body, to me, normally, the best way I can describe is the production of the smoke. So if I would light this cigar up and it's billowing smoke like a freight train when I'm not even puffing on it, that's normally, fuller. Okay. But it can still be medium body, meaning that it's not going to knock you over the head if you smoke it. You know what I mean? So what I would say, like for a beginner, normally you can get something such as like an acid. Acid cigars are very, very popular. They're number one cigars across the board. They're infused. So they're infused with flavors. They're injected with kind of like a sweetener, if you will. The tobacco is. They're still premium hand-rolled cigars, most of them, which means that a person takes the tobacco and rolls it. Okay. And then you have machine rolls like cigarettes and stuff like that.
Which do you prefer? Do you prefer a hand-rolled or a machine rolled?
Well, all of our cigars are premium hand-rolled. I prefer hand-rolled just because there's a romantic side of it.
And can you necessarily tell the difference in smoking it, or is it?
I think so. I think there's a quality to it.
And honestly, it's an art.
It's
really an art form.
A lot of people don't know this, but roughly, it's estimated that roughly there's 300 people that touch a cigar before you get to smoke it. So between the seedlings to being transported into the ground, to that growing, and then to the leaves being harvested, to then the leaves fermenting, and then the leaves being fermented again, and then stored, and then taken out of storage, and then that's
really crazy. Once you start really thinking about it, it's like, wow, that is like how much really goes into the whole thing. There is a ton of people that are involved in the process of it.
Yeah, no, it's a labor of love, and people can say what they will. Do you want more?
Yeah, sure, I'll take some.
Yeah. People can say what they will about people can say what they will about.
You're good. Keep going. Yeah. I'm just moving.
About
making sure that's in
third world countries and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about Ecuador or Nicaragua or Honduras or Dominican Republic. But these people are like very, very hardworking. And the truth is that the cigar industry, through the boom, through the 90s, through the early 2000s till now, especially through COVID, because that was the second coming of cigars. Because what did everybody have during COVID?
Nothing to do.
Time.
Yeah, so they had to sit at home.
So this, cigars and bourbon, became very, very popular. Yeah. And so these people, the cigar industry has created cities in these third world countries, and they've created jobs, and it's created infrastructure. And there's a labor of love when it comes to a premium hand-rolled cigar, and I think that's what makes it very, very special. And you can taste that.
Okay.
When you smoke a premium hand-rolled cigar, you can taste that.
It's no different than like a handmade gift. If somebody got you, even if they didn't make it like themselves, but you ordered something off Etsy and you gave it to your mom for Christmas or your dad for Christmas, then all of a sudden they appreciate that more because you're like, it's handmade. And then they're like, whoa, like it's really a cool feeling to be able to see something done with somebody's hands.
Yeah, for sure. No, and it's exactly right. I mean, it's, for me, what I love about hand-rolled cigars is just that, is that, you know, somebody made this, I'm getting to smoke it. They may not know who I am, but I'm getting to enjoy something, and it's slowing down time for me.
Okay.
And it's a special kind of romantic thing.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to describe that, for me at least. Now, me as a salesman, because that's what I am, right?
Yeah.
So, me as a salesman, you know, telling people about this and doing events like what I was talking about is a very, very big part of my job. And I love doing that. I really do love doing that. I love sitting down. I don't just sell cigars. I influence a lot. I influence cigars. I influence an experience, in my opinion.
And I feel like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that experience is what drives people back to it too.
Yeah, every time.
I mean, the experience is one of the biggest things in every type of business. What type of experience did you have with this company? What type of experience did you have with your boss? Like, every experience, it will help bring them back or potentially just turn them away completely.
Exactly. You get one shot at an impression. And so that's why I think, and our owners think, you know, Crowned Heads is a very small company, actually, you know, relatively speaking. You know, we're not like Monte Cristo or Romeo and Julieta. Crowned Heads is based out of Nashville, Tennessee. If for those that don't know, we started in 2011, so we're about 12 years old, and well, probably about 13 years now. But we're still a boutique style brand, even though now, you know, we have a $20 cigar.
Yeah.
You know, some people may say like, well, you guys have made it, and you know, we may have, but it's still, how far can we push that envelope, and what different style of tobacco can we mess around with? John Huber, one of our owners and kind of our curator, he calls himself a validator rather than like a master blender. But, you know, me and him, I've been privileged to get to know him very well, and for him to kind of ask my opinion on cigars, where he sends me samples of stuff that he's working on. And it's, you know, I'm not an owner or anything, but I get to be able to create something with him, with a company that I've only been with for almost 2 years, you know. So in July it'll be 2 years. But it's very special, and I think you're creating something which ultimately creates an experience which could have an everlasting effect on someone else's life.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. You know, you can say all you want when it comes to like bourbon and cigars, but you can have an everlasting effect on somebody's life just with those two things. Even though you can say the health defects of whatever it is.
Everybody's going to have them, but whatever.
Yeah, but it's not, it's...
Anymore today, everything's unhealthy, so it doesn't matter anyway.
It's not, your chicken's not healthy either.
So, I mean, I just had a rancher on
that was
Monday,
cool.
And he talked about, like, the feedlots. He's like, they give them Skittles, cow crap. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and it's like...
It's bad.
When you really start looking at it, it's like, I'd almost rather just not know it. Like, but, I mean, it is a good thing to know. But I wanted to kind of go back a little bit with the small business type thing. Like, I mean, and...
I know that was a lot. So
no, I like it because like the small aspect of it, a lot of people, I work with a small company. Like I work for a company that we do a lot of high-end jobs, like pools and patios, that there's only 3 of us. And when we tell people like there's 3 of us and one of them's the owner, and they're like, wait, you guys put this backyard in, this $250,000 backyard with 3 people. And it's like, yeah. but it's a really cool experience because you do feel like you're part of the company.
Right.
Like you are truly making an impact. And I feel like, you know, in that corporate world, it can get lost.
It can.
And a lot of people have said the same thing to my boss, like, oh, you've made it now.
Yeah.
And it's like, but like, why stop there? Why? Like, there is more innovation. There's more different things that you can grow with and almost change the industry potentially if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, like, that's not always necessarily the goal, but it's possible.
And when being small, it allows you to.
Yes.
Because you don't have to think of 50 other fucking employees or 100 or 1,000.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like, people gasp when they realize that I'm not going to say what we do in a year, but people gasp at the amount of cigars that we shell out of Nashville.
Yeah.
You know, and so just so everybody's clear, we don't grow tobacco and we don't have a factory in Nashville. We have a warehouse that gets cigars shipped to us from Nicaragua, from the Dominican Republic, you know, so on and so forth. So, but we have a huge opportunity to be able to kind of reinvent the wheel. Especially in this time, because there's so many cigars.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're into cigars, you know that when you walk into a cigar shop, there's so many different brands and there's so many different bands on the cigars.
Well, it's like
you have no idea what the hell
you're... It's like walking into a liquor store.
It's like walking into a cereal aisle.
Yeah. Like there's 12 that are essentially the same.
Yes.
But they all look different.
Yes.
In their own way.
Yes. But I'll go back to one thing just because I do want to answer your question. So if you're new to cigars and want to try something new, or just want to try cigars, I would go into a cigar shop. First, I would respect the owner or whoever's there, and ask them if they can show you the humidor. And just be honest. Say, like, I'm new to cigars. I just want to try something. And if they're going to ask you a few questions, I hope they do. If they know what they're doing, they're supposed to.
They will. Yeah.
But you know, they'll ask you, do you like mild, medium, or full? You know, strength, or body. You know, but remember what I said about those and the differences. So be careful on what those are because they do get mixed up. And then if you like something that's infused, if you want something sweeter, then say you want something infused. You know, ask if they have acids or groovy blues or like whatever. Yeah. You know, you can do your research on it. But most of the time, if you have something with a Connecticut shade wrapper leaf, which is your wrapper is obviously what you see of the cigar. If it's very light, like a Monte Cristo white series, that is going to be more mild, and you should be good there.
Okay.
But if you're in Ohio, if you're in Central Ohio, definitely go to Tinderbox at Easton. Walk in there. Those guys are great. I mean, that's where I got my start, and they taught me everything. I mean, they greet you at the door. They ask you all the questions. They'll take care of you. They'll go through the whole gambit if you want. And it's probably one of the largest selections in Central Ohio.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, where in Central Ohio is there really anything other than that? I mean, I don't really.
There's actually a bunch.
Is there? See, like, I've never really done a lot of like research of like for it, but is there a bunch? Like, is there anything local here in like Newark, like
you
the
just
Licking
have the
County
humidor?
area?
You just have the humidor on 21st Street, but you can't go in there and sit.
Okay.
For you, I would definitely go to Smoke on the Water at Buckeye Lake.
Okay.
It's just across from the marina.
I've heard of that.
So like Drew Burgess and Logan Smith go there like sometimes, those two goof dicks. I hope you're listening, you fucks. So, but I would definitely go there because you can go in there and sit, and they have like a pretty good selection. You know, Crowned Heads is in there too, so. They're good. Gary's a good old man, but they know what they're doing. So, but you can go there. You can go to Westerville. Governor's is a good place. There's a place in Reynoldsburg called Governor's as well. That's a cool little place, at least east of town. If you're in the Groveport area or Grove City, you can go to Royale, which is by the casino.
Okay.
So that's a cool lounge. My buddy Ryan is the GM there. you can actually serve alcohol at that place. So that place has got, you can go in there and get a drink.
Yep.
So I like that. But yeah, there's quite a bit.
So what is your go-to combination with whiskey, bourbon, and the cigar? What are you going with if you had to pick one of each?
So for us, a lot of, if there's bourbon people that are listening to the podcast, for me, everybody knows Buffalo Trace. Like that's the big distillery. They make Pappy, they make Weller, and you can't get any of their shit. So because everybody buys it, Blanton's, blah, blah, blah. But for me, I love this stuff. This is actually really good.
I like it.
But
which I'm gonna have to take a picture of that before you leave.
Yeah. So for our listeners, we're sipping on a Russell's Reserve private barrel pick that was from a store in Ashbrook Liquor Outlet, and I got this in Morgantown, West Virginia. So, but it's actually really, really good.
It is.
What I love about store picks is they normally tell you like what, how old it is, and like when it was distilled and when the barrel was dumped. So, a little side note here. Sorry.
No, I like it.
So this whiskey was distilled on 10/1 of 2014. It was dumped on 6/27 of 2023. So it's about like 8 years, and it was bottled on 7/17/2023. So a month later. So, but it's super cool. But it's really, really good. Anyways, for me, Eagle Rare is a great.
I've heard of that
oh
one.
my God, it's so good. It's great every time, and it's different. Well, I wouldn't say different, but it's just different from everything else.
Yeah.
It's and I'll kind of geek out a little bit, like with my background. It has this like big fruit note in it, like dark fruit, like almost like a jam.
Yeah.
Like a raspberry jam, like fruit note in it, but it's like oaky and rich, and it's only about like 94 proof. Okay. So it's not going to knock you over the head, and you can sit there and like have a couple and feel good.
Yeah.
For me, that with our Mil Diaz, which I gave you one. It's got a red M on it.
That one.
Yes.
Then I think that's the one I smoked with Jesse during an episode on the patio, and it was really freaking
that
good.
With Eagle Rare to me is like an end all be all kind of pairing.
Okay.
But I would say if we were on the patio and I was smoking this Lavaretta, which is our kind of expensive cigar that we just created, with this, I'd be very, very happy. So
we'll have to bring you back for Hold My Beer
yeah,
episode.
Yeah, man.
Me, you, and Dante. Do you know Dante at all?
I don't know him, but I know of him.
Yeah. So we do those, and in the summertime, we always do them I'd rather sit on the patio. It's way more fun just to sit on the patio and stuff. So we'll have to do one out on the patio this year. We'll bring you over and stuff, and we'll do cigars and some bourbon. Yeah. But
I'm game.
So how does like your sales for say go? Because like it's not like your typical sales call. Like you're just, I mean, you have probably your places that you already know, but like what is a sales like for you? Like if somebody new, what is your process like?
So if someone's new, actually it's kind of nice. We have a, I don't know what it is. We have some sort of app or something, some sort of software with our home office that allows us to figure out if there's new cigar shops within different territories. Our CFO gets those messages and then kind of blurts them out to the different reps.
Okay.
So I get emails about like new shops all the time. So I'll either find like a contact or like get on Facebook or something, whatever it takes. I'll email them, message them, and say like, hey, like I'm so and so. I'm Jake from Crowned Head Cigars. I'd love to get in touch. Maybe set up a meeting. I'd love to come in and get your feedback on our cigars. Maybe smoke a cigar with you, get to know you, and see if this is a right fit for us both. It's like that's kind of my sales spiel. I love and much rather would do things in person rather over the phone. Just because it just sucks that way. I'm going to spend. You're going to spend your hard-earned money as a business owner, a small business owner, right? And I'm trying to get that money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the time and come to you, and I'm going to show you that I have the time and the wherewithal to do that, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and I'm for some reason the in-person. I feel like COVID kind of changed my perspective on this, especially. But like I do virtual podcasts, and then some of them they're in Idaho, they're in Texas, like they're all over the place. So it's like it makes more. I don't have the money right now to be able to.
No, I get it.
But maybe one day that'd be awesome.
I get it, man.
My whole thing is like the in-person episode. If I can do in person, I'm doing in person. The conversations are better. You're right here in front of the person. Like actually, if it just seems like a more genuine conversation.
Yeah, probably sounds better too.
Oh,
everybody has this fucking shitty mic.
The Blue Yeti or whatever. Like they bring all these.
Yeah, he's on his iPhone. Like,
oh, I've had actually. You knew Mason Tomlin. So I recorded with him. He was driving back from Iowa back to Ohio, and he calls, and I was like,
God.
"All right, Mason, we'll go with it. We'll run with it."
That does not surprise me.
Good old Mason, awesome guy, but clown.
Dad.
Yeah,
Dad
now. He was a lot different than what I knew him only as a coach. So everybody was like, he's a lot different. Because everybody's like, remember Mason when you used to do this? And Mason's like, shut up. Like, we don't talk about that anymore.
No, I love Mason. I won't talk shit. I love Mason. We came in together. He was part of my class. We had a lot of actual classes together. A lot of great people came out of the class of 2017.
Yeah, I wish I was 1 year earlier.
Yeah.
Instead, my seniors were like Ben Rubel and Brad Brodak.
Yep.
Like my freshman year.
Yep.
So that's who I had, which don't get me wrong, like Jermaine Fraser-Phillips.
I love Jermaine.
Jermaine's amazing. Yep. Doing big things too.
Anthony.
Chambers, yep.
I love Anthony.
He just kind of, he's in what?
He's in Tampa.
Yep.
He's a firefighter.
Is he?
Yeah. I love Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony's one of the most genuine people I've ever met in my life.
He was one of like the meanest people on the field.
Oh yeah.
But outside of the field,
dude, he's
nice
so sweet. So
nice
sweet.
Nice as can be.
He's I love those guys. Jerry Harper.
Oh, Harp. Yep.
Yeah, that class was great too. Nate was my little brother.
Nate Lee?
Yep.
He was my roommate junior year.
Yeah. He was my little brother, so my only one.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even know who I think I only had I don't think any of mine actually lasted.
Yeah. He was my only one ever.
It sucked because my one little brother, I think he was all conference. And then next year just was like, I'm done. Well, he still stayed at Ohio Wesleyan. He was in a frat. He was in Cigars. And then, but he was like, I'm just done.
Wow.
And I was like, what are you doing? Like, don't do this.
I don't want to be a dick on live air, but that just shows you.
Oh, he doesn't listen.
That just shows you the morale of coaching.
Yep.
I mean, that just shows you.
Yeah.
You have a great athlete that just quits.
Yep.
It's fucking terrible.
It is.
And I can't say enough about that. I mean, it's just, I was, a little side note, like, I was talking about this with somebody else. Actually, with cigars and bourbon in my industry, being 28, I'm always the young guy.
Yeah.
And
what is the typical age that you deal with mostly?
Mid 40s,
yeah, I figured.
60s.
Yeah.
I mean, geez,
it goes all over the place.
Yeah, if you're above it, if you're under 40, I'm surprised I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I've always been. I mean, I think you've known me long enough that I've always been around older people.
Yeah.
And then that's always I've always been that way. I don't know why.
I personally, especially later in life, I'd rather be around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more they have more experience in life, they have more wisdom, and I'm sure sitting down drinking bourbon and smoking a cigar, you get to hear things that you might not think that you would ever get to like experience.
Well, and there's a lot of observations, but what I was going to say was that I was talking to an older gentleman that has a kid, and he's talking about his like 6-year-old, right? But I'm a lot closer to that 6-year-old than he is, because I've it wasn't that long ago for me.
Yeah, compared to him.
Yeah, and I was just telling him that same exact thing where it's you know, I'm so passionate when I look back on like the players versus like coaches thing, and it just pisses me off, man. It drives a hole like through my heart where it's like I don't know how many people just quit because of bad coaches. And I told him because he was like,
I've almost done it.
He was talking to everybody has.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just these fucking people, they just like don't realize.
The worst is like watching Little League.
Oh yeah.
Parent coaches, which I'm not saying don't coach your kids. Like there are good coaches.
I was.
Yeah. Like
The best believe I was fucking running every day.
Oh yeah. Dad, we were late. Yeah, run.
Yeah.
But you were the reason we were
I remember I was in 3rd grade one time and Cody Johnson and I got in a fight and he made us hold hands around the diamond on Refugee Road.
Oh man.
While we ran.
That's cute.
And he said if we didn't hold hands, we'd run until the end of practice. And that was my dad. That was my own dad. And that was fucking 3rd grade. So what was I, like 8?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big lesson for an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, Dad? Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
You know, I hate this motherfucker. Like, why?
But I bet you didn't get in a fight with him again.
Nope. But no, yeah, I don't have anything against, you know, coaching dads, but people are assholes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it, but I mean, I've seen people give up on their sports that are young, and it's like they only did a couple of years of it. But I've also looked at a coach and I've been like, I wouldn't even want to play for you. Like, and I'm 26,
right? And
I wouldn't want to play for. I don't, and I'm not saying, you know, not every coaching style is the same. I get it,
right?
But like, there's just certain things, and like, I mean, I almost quit basketball because of certain coaches in high school. Yeah, like I loved basketball. Basketball was my main passion before football.
You know what I think it is, though? I think most of it comes down to fairness.
Yeah,
because everybody, what destroys a team first and foremost is fucking favorites.
Daddy ball.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought when I went off to college that it was over. Yeah. You know, when I met fucking Delaney and Formaz and Watts, I thought I was good as a freshman. And then you go through like a year or two, and then you're like, oh, you know, and you know, if they're listening, fuck it. You know, it's what is the truth. Yeah. And it pisses me off that so many coaches ruin players. Yeah. And they ruin, and you can say that that's perseverance, you can say that that's adversity, whatever, but you have no idea how much players look up to coaches. Even if they hate you, they still look up to you.
Nick Saban just retired, and they are losing recruits left and right.
Oh, yeah.
A coach can make or break you.
Oh, yeah.
And if now, I mean, Saban's 72 years old. I hate to see him go. He's a legendary coach. Yeah, hated playing against him, like as a fan. Did not like when Ohio State was playing against him at all.
Right.
But you can't deny he is a legendary coach that is very good at his job. For sure. And now that he's retiring, like you were watching Alabama recruits be like, nope. Yep. I don't know if this is where I want to be now.
Well, look at Day after this last game. Yeah. I mean, we're losing.
He's surprisingly doing decently in recruit, like transfer wise.
Yeah, I don't know how that is because that performance was fucking terrible.
I turned it off at halftime.
Yeah, I mean that was the worst Buckeye performance probably
since Fickle days.
10 years.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, it's got to be, and
at least since they won the national champion the first year. Since 14.
Even before that, because Urban went undefeated his first year at Ohio State, so it would have been even earlier than that. Right. So, yeah, I don't know. It
was bad. Yeah. It was really bad. And to only be 2 players off the field, really.
Yeah,
you know?
Your whole defense was there.
So there was no excuse whether that was –
yeah.
Yeah, but whatever.
Long story. But, yeah, we get into Ohio State football way too much on this podcast.
No, that's all right. But, no, my point is it's just like it sucks because I don't think coaches realize how much they influence players, even though that, you know, the player can hate that coach and that coach can feel that, but he still has influence over that player. Yeah. And there's just so many people that I've contact with just because we never played the sport anymore, you know, together. And so it just, you know, in my sappy times, it hurts. It sucks.
I look back, and so Teddy became a coach my junior year. senior year, one of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Junior year, I think, is when he was injured and became like a student coach.
Yeah.
And we're roommates, best freaking friends, and he's bitching at me in the weight room. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, who the fuck are you?
I can't take Teddy seriously.
Well, I can't.
I know you had to. I'm sorry, but
it was hard because it was hard to take him serious. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're my best friend. You're my roommate. Why are you riding my ass so much? And then you realize, like, but that's the difference, too. He was a coach that was trying to make me better.
Yeah.
And he knew he could be a dick to me.
Yeah.
He knew I could take it.
I couldn't take Bo Heineman for a. I couldn't take him seriously, but
he was my position coach.
I know he was.
He was goofy as hell, but
I was a sophomore when he came in.
Really?
And it was, but he was always fair.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about him.
Oh, I'm fairly certain Bo fought for me to play more than I got when I wasn't playing because he'd come up to me right when we were in Hamwell, and he'd be like, "Be ready today."
Yep.
And I was a freshman. And
he said the same stuff to Cam.
Yeah. Oh, but I think he fought for players.
He did.
That he thought honestly deserved a shot.
He did.
And maybe not like starting full-time playing, but at least some reps.
No.
So.
And it's not even a question of someone from the outside can say, well, why weren't you guys good enough to play? And it's like that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about the fact that there's an argument of favorites.
Oh yeah.
And when you do that, it tears a team apart.
Yeah.
When we're kids, but we're not stupid.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll surpass that.
But
it's good.
So I wanted to also ask, how many cigars do you smoke in a week?
In a week? Damn.
Which I know part of it's your job, too.
It varies.
Yeah.
It varies. The reason, it's probably number 2 reason of why I wanted the job. Because let's be honest, I get to smoke and drink for free.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And that is fine, and it's great for me. But I have to watch myself.
Yeah.
And I have to be smart about it. When I first became a rep, I was smoking 5 to 6 cigars a day because I'm trying out different blends. I'm trying out all of our product. We have a large portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So, we may have, I'd say, anywhere between maybe 12 and 14 core lines.
Yeah.
And then you may have 3 to 4 different sizes of cigars and or shapes in each one of those blends, which tastes different. So you gotta, as a salesman, you gotta know the product. Right? And what I love about this industry and what I love about cigars in general is the fact that you can't sell this shit if you don't know what it is. And we I had a conversation with someone, a sales guy, one of my new best friends out in Indianapolis, and he used to work for Philip Morris, which was big cigarette company, Marlboro, whatever. And he's a salesman, right? So and I'm, money, you can always make more money. So I'm asking him about sales and trying to, build my portfolio a little bit, my sales strategy. And so I'm talking to him about things, and he's telling me, sales pitches and stuff like that. And I'm listening, and this isn't me being stubborn and acting like I know everything, but I'm listening to him, and I'm like, yeah, but how can I do that with cigars? Because you can't sell a product because every cigar is an experience. Mm-hmm. So how do you sell an experience? That's like me selling a carton of cigarettes to somebody that is trying to buy a cruise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that's weird to kind of explain, but that's what it's like. And so you can't be dishonest. You can't be disingenuous. It's not. I have to smoke it. Most of the time what I do is I just hand somebody a cigar and I'm like, let's smoke a cigar together. because we're a small brand. And what did I just do?
You just gave me something for free.
Well, yeah, one.
And you're giving me the experience.
Yes. Yeah. So
you're actually getting the first hand to see what it's like.
Yeah, and then that cigar owner sees that, and then that I just created a customer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why these events are so important. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
How many
did
cigars
I answer it?
Cigars a week?
Yeah. I would probably say shit. Monday to Friday?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say 50.
Jeez. Seems like such a large amount.
It's a lot. But I'll have weeks where I don't smoke anything.
Yeah.
You know, I have weeks where I'm home. And, you know, you were asking, like, my travel schedule, too, where it just depends on where my events are. Like, I schedule events everywhere and little spotlight things, what we call cut and lights. Okay. So, like, where, you know, I kind of go the extra mile and actually, like, cut a cigar for people, light it for them, you know, do the whole thing.
Is there a specific way to do it?
There is, but it just depends on a preference.
Okay.
I normally just do a straight cut, which is like a guillotine, which is like kind of what you see there. And for like the viewers, it's just you just cut the tip off of it.
Yeah. A lot of people, I feel like, cut too far.
They do, yeah. So like what I normally say, and it's kind of funny, but it works, and it always sticks in someone's head, is I say, scalp it, don't decapitate it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this, I would say, for a frame of reference, if you look at a tip of a cigar, which is going to be your cap, which is what you're going to, you know, put in your mouth and smoke from, and you're going to light the foot, which is the open end of the cigar. And normally you can tell that by the band, because the way that if you're reading the band right, the foot is always going to be at the bottom of that band that you can read, if that makes sense. But if you look at this cigar, there's different caps. So I'll give you that one. But there's different layers of a tobacco that is a cap. So that, I think, is almost triple capped or almost double capped, which means they take like a circle of a tobacco and they put that over the wrapper leaf with almost like a glue-like substance, and then that kind of holds everything together, right? Okay. And so what I normally do is just a straight cut or a guillotine cut. So that's simple. You can use your damn knife for it. You can use your fingernail. I mean, that's what a lot of cigar guys do. But you can have, you know, there's a lot of accessories and cigars. So you can have a lot of money racked up in lighters and cutters and stuff like that. You can do a V-cut, which is almost, some people call it a wedge or a cat eye. You can do a crown, which is like a double cat eye, or it looks like a cross. You basically take a V-cut and slit it and then slit it the other way. You can do a punch cut, which is, if the cap was still on here, it's basically just a hole. Some people call it a bullet. So there's a bunch of different cuts. All that is doing is restricting the air of the cigar, or the draw.
Okay.
For me, I want the best chance of an open draw, because I hate a plug cigar.
Yeah.
That's like,
same way.
It's like sucking through a straw with a piece of ice in the middle of it. You know, it just sucks. So, yeah, I would say about like 50 cigars a week, maybe, depending on
depends on the week.
Depending on my travel schedule. You know, like normally it's a day. Like I can do if I have an event, you know, and I'm traveling to the event, you know, I'm smoking. I smoke in my Durango, and it's leather, thank God, because if it was cloth, I'd be screwed. It's just sticking there, man. You know.
Yeah.
But so I travel and I smoke, and that's fine, and that's so relaxing, man. Like when you're traveling and like smoking a cigar and listening to whatever you listen to, that's so great. But when I get to an event, like I may smoke like 12 or 15 cigars a day if I'm doing an event, you know, because I never want to be caught out with a cigar in my hand, you know, if that makes sense. But then after a while, it's kind of like a beer, you know, like it just like everything. It always tastes better, like after the next one, after the next one, after the next one. So you got to watch yourself. And, I'll go hard, 1 week and then just cut it off the next week, you know, and I may have like one cigar in the whole week. Yeah. And then I'll take different supplements to kind of flush my system and stuff like that. I mean, you got to do it. I mean, if you don't, that's been the biggest lesson that I've done myself is learn about kind of doing that and flushing my system and doing different natural supplements. So I know that sounds weird, but it's true. Yeah, I mean, everybody needs to flush their system, no matter if you're smoking that many cigars or not. Like, because if you look at guys like in the cigar industry, they're like, it's unanimous. Like, they're just all overweight. They're all unhealthy. It's not a good look, But then, like, the guys that kind of are healthy and stuff, like, they're the outliers, and it's, then it kind of looks cool. Yeah. But when you have like a 400-pound guy that's got his belly button out of his shirt, smoking a cigar, and has a bag of Doritos in his hand, like, it doesn't look very cool. No. So, but I'm gonna move into some of these. Man. Sorry. No, you're good. I'm gonna move into some of these final segments of the podcast, and I do have a question that I ask all of pretty much every guest. Sometimes I forget, but if you could go back in time and tell your 16-year-old self one thing, what would it be? Damn, that's a good one. That's why I always ask it, because everybody gives a different type of answer, but it's always like, it's not always like hard hitting, but it kind of makes people think. Yeah, I mean, for me, like me, like I don't know what is. I say wrong with me because I feel like there's something wrong, but like for my whole life, like I've just been so fucking serious, like, and that's why that's what's driven me to cigars, and it's not a bad thing, but it is, like, because it's just draining, I guess, is my point, because like you just, like, even in high school, it's like try hard was like the big thing. Like, Crookshank used to fucking say that, like, even Connor used to say that shit to me all the time, and it's like it sticks in your craw a little bit, and it's like you're working your ass off, and people are calling you tryhards, and it's like, yeah, jackass. That's like, what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do. And but after a while, it's like you grow up, and then you realize it's like, I get it. I understand. Like, there's a fine line between focused and too serious. Yeah. And so I've tried to really get laid back, like the last like good part of my 20s, So this helps. But man, what would I tell to my 16-year-old self? I mean, honestly, it would be just don't take life too seriously. You're 16 years old. Yeah. It's not everything is the end of the world. Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think that's how I felt. Like, I was raised, like, I love my parents, don't get me wrong, like, my parents. Yeah. But like, I was raised that like my failures like defined me, because you just don't fuck up, like if you do fuck up, you should have known better, and that was, to me, that was always the lesson. And that's fine. It's not saying that my parents were bad parents, because they weren't. Yeah, exactly. It's just, as a kid, that's interpreted differently. Mm-hmm. And it's in my interpretation was that I can't fuck up. Yeah. And if I do, it is the end of the world. And now I realize, because I have made actual serious fuck ups now, that it's just not that serious. Yeah. And if I wouldn't have made it to college, and if I did flunk out, I would have been okay. Yeah. And that's the lesson. So. The whole fucking up thing, it's crazy, because I mean, I'm similar in the aspect of, I think that partially comes from being an athlete with, I can't fuck up. Yeah, of course. Well, especially football. Yeah. You did not want to fuck up, and especially, you can't miss that tackle. Why would you miss that tackle? Oh God. You were 2 inches. Film with Warrington or Delaney. Oh yeah. If you missed a tackle, you were just like, yep, that play's coming up. Let's hopefully we skim past it and he doesn't see it. No, everybody saw it. Yeah. But no, like, I'm gonna bite my tongue on that one. My parents were a little bit different. Like, they let me fuck up.
Like, go ahead, go fuck up.
Yeah.
Now, if you fuck up twice, that's when they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I didn't get that chance.
Yeah. So that was the difference with me. But I was after college, especially. It was like something would go wrong, and it's like, no, it can't. Like, I'd get pissed.
Oh yeah.
To the point where like I could be building something, or I could just be doing something with a podcast. I used to like punch computers.
Yeah.
Like almost like the gamer rage type stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just in different circumstances. And now I'm getting to the point where it's like, oh well, like, yes, and it's not like I just like blow it off like what the hell ever. It's like, all right, this happened.
Yeah.
Now what? It's not like I'm gonna freak out and throw a temper tantrum about it.
Well, it creates this rage. Like,
it does,
and it's bad. It's very, very bad. It's volatile, and it's not good.
We're expecting perfection from ourselves.
Yes, and we're not perfect.
No,
we're sinners.
It's
just
so
happens.
hard to get past that aspect of expecting perfection, especially, and we've talked about it a lot on the podcast lately, like within the last month or two, of the athletes. Like a lot of athletes have talked about this, and a lot of them have said, I think it's from being an athlete.
It is.
You expect to be perfect when in reality we were never perfect in our sports.
Especially if it's longer.
Yeah.
You know, because you become almost like, what's the famous saying, like in like Shawshank, like you're almost institutionalized.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way that's the way we feel when you get out of college and you're a student athlete.
Yeah.
That's the way you feel, because like we said at the beginning, it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
You know, you just don't know. But yeah. I mean, that's what I would say to myself is just, don't take life too seriously at this time. And because it's not. It's the girl that you're dating isn't going to be the one that you marry. Mm-mm. The college that you choose isn't where you're going to end up. The friends that you have now, you're never going to speak to again after after school. Yeah. It just doesn't matter. It really, I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
Yeah, like that high school circle of friends that you used to have, 4 years down the line is going to be very, very small.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people, because I mean, everybody's guilty. Oh, we're going to be friends for a long time. Like, I'm always going to talk to this guy. Then all of a sudden, one day hits, and you're like, I don't talk to anybody. I talk to 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 people from my class, like consistently. Like
I talk to people that I wasn't even friends with.
Yeah.
In high school.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's fucking weird. Like I talked to Bear.
Okay, yeah.
Like Jared Schuff, and I talked to Jared Quorum.
I've had him on the podcast. The stuff he does too.
Oh,
is
dude,
crazy.
I can't believe it.
I know.
I mean, good on him. I mean, Jared. I mean, he's amazing. And you know, that goofy ass like redhead, like now to doing what he's doing is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just great. I love him. And for me, you know, I wasn't, and I don't want it to seem like a fucking sappy sob story. It's because it's not. But the truth is, I didn't have a lot of friends in high school. You know, I was the guy with the big leather jacket that would walk down, you know, that middle hallway, and everybody would move. But I wasn't friends with anybody. Yeah. You know, I didn't party in high school. I didn't do anything in high school. So like nobody like really, when I went off to college, that was really exciting for me because I was like, oh, a new start.
It is, because no one knows you.
Right, exactly. Especially at Ohio Wesleyan. That's why I love that place, because nobody knew who the fuck I was.
I went to school and Caitlin Smith was there, Cam Smith was there. There were so many Watkins people, and I was like, what the hell?
Well, that's what I was surprised about, because like when I
started the trend.
I guess, because like because when Cam came in, I was really excited because I knew Cam like for being like a skinny like hard hitter, and then when I came back like to a homecoming, Cam said like, you came on, and I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, this is all right.
Yeah, so we actually had me, Terry Lowry, which he ended up leaving after a semester, a year.
Yes.
Caitlin Smith lasted all 4 years. Bailey Small, I think she went all 4 years, but she was playing soccer and then ended up softball, and then ended up stepping away from softball. But like we had like 5 of us at one point, and I was like, and we had like Heights kids. We had so like it was. It changed a whole lot.
And now Darren's the head coach at Watkins.
Yeah, I did not see that coming.
I love Darren.
I've never really talked to him, so like I've never.
I used to train at the Edge.
Okay.
Out of New Albany. Now it's gone. But Aaron Fry, the Frys owned that land. Yeah. And Darren would train out there. And I used to train out there in the summer. And because I just wanted to get away from Watkins. You know, I'm weird. I got to be different. I got to get out a little bit and see.
I didn't like training at Watkins. Even when I was in college, I didn't want to go back. Like, I wanted to go do field work.
Yeah.
But I didn't always want to go back to the field because, like, I didn't want to
I'd just go to old school.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. But anyways, I met Darren, and then it was so crazy because like he like pointed me out like in the gym, and he's like, because I had like a walk-ins thing on, and he's like, "You're 33, aren't you?" And I'm like, yeah, and then we like really hit it off, and then fucking Ronnie went to Heights. But there was a guy named Ronnie also that was his like fullback for Heights.
Which one?
Well, yeah. What was his last name?
They always ran that Maryland Eye.
Yeah,
with him.
I think his number was 34.
Okay.
And he went to play baseball at Ohio State.
Okay.
And him and I didn't really know him that well, but we just would hit the fuck out of each other. And we'd just always get up, like, even though we were rivals, but like we'd always get up and like hit each other on the head, and like, yeah, you're good, you know. And then, so that's what. Long story short, like I'm really happy that Darren's at Watkins.
Seems like he's doing well too.
Great coach,
yeah.
Great dude.
There's no denying that.
Great dude.
Yeah.
Would have loved to seen Hare as the head coach, but I don't know what the hell happened there. I mean, I haven't been back since.
I don't even know. I think Mead's still a part of it. I don't even know how many coaches are really from like our time are still there.
Well, I think Hare went more like administrative.
Did he? Because he
became the principal.
That's what I thought at the middle school. Yeah.
So I don't know. I
don't know.
But anyways,
crazy stories.
Yeah,
crazy times.
It's cool. Yeah, I can go all the way back. I mean, it's crazy.
But this moves us into the best segment of the podcast, which is Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday is the point in the episode where I allow the guests to give the Roughnecks listeners a little inspirational bump to set the tone for the week as they listen on Monday morning. So what do you got from Motivation Monday?
All right. So, well, first I want to thank Cole. Thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, man, it's been a blast.
It's great. I didn't even get to say that yet. So thanks for having me on the Roughnecks podcast, man. This is awesome. But no, I'll start by this saying that I think a lot of people come on and do podcasts and they act like they know everything. And I can say this because, one, we had a podcast and about cigars and bourbon, and I love my partner to death, but he always did that. And I've been a part of that whole scene too, where, you know, I woke up at 3 o'clock, was at the gym at 4 a.m., would post my fucking video, tell everybody to work hard and do this and do that, and I'm 22 years old. What the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
What did I know? I didn't know anything. You know, 6 years later, I still don't know anything. But what I do know is my experiences. And if I would rather give somebody an example of my experience so that they can come up with their own interpretation of it and think of it, because that's what I do all the time. When I'm at cigar shops, when I'm at events and I'm smoking a cigar with somebody, I'm listening and asking them about their life so that I can learn about them, maybe befriend them, but maybe they can tell me how the fuck to go through this life a little. Yeah, you know. And so what I would say is that I think a lot about people giving advice to others. And I guess my example is that for me, I've made a lot of mistakes, and like I said, you know, with my answer to being, what would I say to my? That's a great question, by the way. To my 16-year-old self is not being, you know, take life with a grain of salt, and don't be so serious about your life. Have that drink, have that cigar, have some type of experience that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, we live in a world that we're worried about fucking Hamas, and we're worried about shit that's going on in the Middle East. We're worried about our government. We're worried about our food that isn't as nutritious as it was in the 1960s. Mm-hmm. We're worried about, should we make a bunker or not? Do I save gas? Do I save toilet paper? Do I go take the vaccination? Do I not? I lost a friend because I disagreed with his bullshit explanation on why to get the vaccine, but like we love each other, but now we don't. I've lost friends like due to different political views. What? It's not that important.
No.
And it's going to be okay. And the sooner that you realize that you're going to be a lot happier.
Yeah.
And I think for me, one thing that we didn't talk about, and one thing I wanted to get into, was that, you know, for me, 2024 is going to be my year of, it may come off wrong, but of cutting people out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm getting to the age now where, and I travel, right?
Yeah.
So I have friends all over. And like I said before, I didn't have friends in high school, really.
Yeah.
You know, that I hung out with a lot, you know, not like brothers, not like best friends. And when I think about that, you know, I'll drive 4 hours to see somebody and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
But if I've been through the ringer recently enough that people just don't, when someone in your life is just not showing the same reciprocating energy, just let them go, man. Mm-hmm. Just let them go. Whether it be like a family member, whether it be loved ones, whether it be friends, best friends, whatever. Just let them go. Don't even give them effort and see what happens. Yeah. Because if it fizzles away, which it will, you understand. Mm-hmm. You'll understand then.
I've seen the thing of like,
and it's going to hurt.
Oh yeah, but it won't hurt forever.
No.
There's going to come that point when you look at it and go, man, I'm so glad.
Yeah. So I guess there's two motivational things in there, but if you want to call them that, but I'm at the point now where it's just you can't take it too seriously, and you got to cut these people out. Mm-hmm. Because they're going to ruin your life. They're going to take over your thoughts, and you're not going to be able to focus on what you need to do.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to focus on the people that are actually also focusing on you and giving their energy to you. You know, you got to figure out your friends and your loved ones. And if they're going to hold you back, then fuck them.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I've had people with the podcast. I've been 3 years into this. I'm not making money on this thing.
Right.
And that's not why I do it.
Right.
And like people are like, oh, why do you even do it then? Like, is it even fun? And it's like, it's a blast. You know how many conversations with people I would never just get to have a conversation with that person if I was not doing this. And I want to be able to share knowledge like this, like other people. And one of the things that you said like really resonated with me, and it was like, you have these people that want to think they know everything and try to tell you how to do everything and this kind of stuff. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I got when I was still in high school, it was a former boss of mine. He told me, there's going to come a day where you realize you don't know shit.
Yep.
And that's going to be a good day.
It is a good day.
And like literally, when you really think about, all right, I know a lot about this specific thing.
Yeah.
But when you really think about the broad scheme of everything in the world that you could know, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
And whether you think you have something figured out or not, whether you even are a master at it, whatever this thing is, it doesn't mean you know everything.
Well, and what that means too is that I think a lot of people get this twisted, is that that means that you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And you keep learning things.
Yes.
And you keep diagnosing the way that you feel. Mm-hmm. You keep reflecting on how you don't need a therapist. You don't need a fucking strategy, your morning routine. You don't need to go into a hot bath for an hour and then go into a cold plunge for 5 seconds and do that 5 times in the morning and then take your protein shake and then go to work and then do. You don't need to do that. It's just reflect on your life a little bit and just learn what makes you feel better. Yeah. Because not everything that works for these fucking influencers works for you. It's not the same. And it just it pisses me off that people make money off the fact of what we're talking about. Yeah. Because all the rest of us are humble and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. So we're looking out for the people that do know what they're doing, but they don't know what the fuck they're doing either. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just you do the research and you learn on your own time what works for you.
Yeah. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
Like there's no,
and that doesn't mean like I'm not bashing like the trainer that's been doing this for 20 years either. Yeah. I'm talking about the people that act like they fucking know everything because they don't. And I don't know everything either. And what you said was great too, where it's like what your boss says, like the day that you know that you don't know everything is great. Yeah. It is great. The bad day is when you realize that your parents think that they know everything still. Yeah. That's the bad day. Yeah. After the good day. Yeah. So then you got to navigate this weird little area where you know that even though at 28 years old that your parents are wrong, and then you become the parent. Yep.
Yep.
And that's what sucks.
There's been times in like certain things, building something or like dirt work or like just this kind of industry that I'm in. And then like my dad will be like, well, we should do it this way. And I'm like, not saying it's wrong, but that's the outdated way.
Right.
That's not, there's a better way now.
Right.
And like trying to explain it, and it's hard sometimes when you go from being the child to the teacher, the parent. Yeah. And it is tough. Yep. And like, I mean, going back kind of to the not knowing anything, a lot of people sometimes too, like maybe think like, oh, he's 26. Yeah, 26. You lose track after a while. 26. Like why does he have a podcast? He doesn't know anything. The reason I have a podcast is a big thing is I get to have these conversations and I'm still learning from every single person that I have on this podcast. Yeah. I learn from every one of them. I take little snippets from every single one of them. And like, that's the thing too. I listen to every episode multiple times because like I listen to it when I'm editing. I listen to it again.
Right.
When I'm editing, I'm like specifically looking for editing things, but then I do listen to it like on the platform. So that way I listen to myself a lot, but I'm also listening to guests. Yeah. That's like, it's like watching film for me. It's like, all right, what did I do wrong? What can I fix? How many times do I say certain things? Because my big thing, I got away from the, but the big thing is like, so that's like one of the things that I just did it again.
No, you're good. I know I say, but.
It's a hard thing to get past, but it's one of those things that you start to, people want to come bust your chops and because they think they know everything.
Oh yeah.
They don't. And when you stop listening and cutting those type of people out, your life's going to get a lot better. When you start going around people who one are more knowledgeable but are also still learning, those are the best people to be around. Those are my favorite people to be around.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think for me there's a lot to do with, men we're like fickle beings. Like, let's be honest about it. 100%. Like, we like to think like we're badasses, but we're fickle. And something that I've realized like recently was the fact that I think men need, one, we need a mentor, most importantly. And second importantly, we need a mentee.
Okay. Yeah.
And without those two, there's a strong chance that there's no purpose that we feel.
Yeah. Unless
you have a family.
Yeah.
Which also includes like the mentee, right? Like if you have a kid, that's the mentee.
Yeah.
So it's that's something I've really been thinking about for the last like year or so.
Yeah.
Because I've tried to figure out why, like my problem has been that I went from like being like a very, very strong power lifter like 4 or 5 years ago. And after, I don't know if you knew this, but my separation with, if you want more, I don't care.
I'm good.
If there was a separation between like Max Effort and me and Corey Gregory, Corey Gregory was my mentor.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very bad separation. And, I had some things to do with that as far as, my own shortcomings and, my own faults. But when that happened at, still a young age,
yeah,
it took me down, man. And even though that cigars and bourbon were like in my life, and this is why I say like I have to control it, because I went down a very dark hole and I didn't know if I was going to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just recently like got back into the gym, and I kind of had to humble myself and understand that, I can't squat 635 pounds anymore. And then you like look back and say like, geez, I should have never stopped. Like, why did I stop? And it's like, I'm in a completely different mindset than I was 5 years ago. I mean, you couldn't tell me shit.
Yeah.
I was the guy that was up at 4 a.m. that was telling everybody else how to live their lives.
Yeah. And
then you go through life and you experience a lot of shit, and you sit down with millionaires and you're drinking and you're smoking and you're dealing with a whole walk of life that doesn't have to deal with fucking Pataskla, Ohio.
Yeah.
Or Central Ohio. And then you realize it's like, it was also fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I let this one man that was a mentor ruin it.
Yeah.
I need to find the other guy.
Yeah.
Now, and that's been my epiphany.
Yeah.
So
mentors are huge. I've had.
Hope that all made sense.
No, but I've gone through similar things where that mentor eventually it didn't end up working out. Like things went different paths, and for whatever reason. But when you find like that new one, it does help pull you out of that hole. Maybe not directly right away, because my personal mentor now is one of my mentors is my boss, and like when I was going down that drinking path, he's been down that path.
All right.
He's been there in the holes that I'm in.
Yeah.
And he'd say things to me, and I'm like, yeah. And he always told me, he's like, your biggest problem is you've never been around a bad drunk. He's like, your parents drink.
It's a big experience.
Like my parents drank, he's like, your parents are the happiest people all the time.
It is a wake up call.
And he's like, that's why you see drinking as like
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was the same.
Cares?
I was the same.
Yeah.
Until I worked at Burn.
Really?
And then I realized that, the people that I got really, really good at sobering people up.
Mm.
And we don't really know each other like really, really closely, but like me enough. I hope that like I've never done any drugs. Like I'm not like that. Like I'll drink and I'll smoke cigars, but I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fine. If you smoke weed, then whatever.
At this point, it's already becoming legal.
Yeah,
so.
But if you're doing like heroin and cocaine and shit,
exactly.
You may have a problem. So, I saw a lot of stuff in Burn, and it just kind of showed me a side that I didn't, know.
Yeah.
Mommy and daddy weren't there to say like, this is bad.
Yeah.
I'm the fucking GM.
Yeah.
I'm 25 years old, and the it's a $6 million building.
Yeah.
And I'm in charge of it.
Yeah.
So that was a massive, massive wake up call. And it's people just you got to know when to fold them.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
Because people will take advantage, especially when they're drunk and when they're alcohol induced, drug induced, and you can play around with them as much as you can, but it comes to a point. So
yeah. Well, Jake, I appreciate you coming on the Roughnecks
How
podcast.
long was that record for you?
No, it's been we've gone over 3 hours before.
That's good. I've done that too. It's good.
It was me and Dante and Caleb Scott. It was a 3 hour long. It was a very, very bad episode.
Oh, really?
It was a
Drunk
drinking episode,
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
did not go the way we planned it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank
It was
you.
a great time.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have you back on. We'll
I
bring
appreciate
you
it.
back on in the summer. This summer we'll have a little patio episode for you. So.
Yep. Let me know.
But where can people find your cigars? Like, if they want to reach you directly, or like, and where can they find your cigars in general to smoke?
So if you're in the Midwest, you can find them kind of all over. It'd probably be best just to like reach out to me personally. My handle on Instagram is Jakes with an S _finer life. Or you can check out Crowned Heads. It's the Crowned Heads with a D, Crowned Heads, on Instagram. And we can, I know John, it's basically his personal account, so he's awesome. But, you can go on there and kind of ask us both and ask us where to get them. But if you're in the central Ohio area, I mean, you can go to Smoke on the Water out in Buckeye Lake. You can go to Governor East in Reynoldsburg. You can go to Tinderbox Easton. That's probably the best place to get our stuff. You can go to Tinderbox Dublin. They got a lot of our stuff. Stogie's up in Powell, Delaware, Ohio. You have Woodlands, Royale at the casino. So, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. A lot of supporters, obviously, hometown. So
I will be putting all those links in the episode description
Appreciate
as well.
it.
So I know that was a lot. It's easier
It is a
sometimes
lot.
just to go there. But I appreciate you coming on, and you guys know the deal. Until Friday, we were back with another Q&A with Reno. You guys know the deal. Life is hard, and it's going to knock you down just like a bull does to a bull rider. Don't let that bull of life walk all over you. Get up, grab a bull by the horns, and take control of your life. Roughnecks, out.